Wonderful.
Welcome, distinguished speakers, guests, and friends. Namaste, Assalamu alaikum, and warm greetings to all of you. I'm Reenactments. I'm from the Netherlands, and I'm a recent graduate from Erasmus University Rotterdam. I did Management of Innovation, and my family is from Suriname in the Caribbean. Today, this is the 316th edition of our ICC Thought Leaders Forum. We wish to sincerely thank all of you who has graciously contributed to the success of this ongoing Pan-Indo-Caribbean and Pan-Indian Diaspora global project. For 315 unbroken, continuous weeks, we have been here every single day, every single Sunday. And for the past 5 years, 7 months, and 3 weeks, we have featured 1,258 presenters speaking on 315 topics. We are pleased to have speakers and participants in this meeting from all over the world from different time zones. This is a weekly forum being hosted by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center, a legally registered research and publishing company operating since 2010. Today, we are pleased to be supported by the Indian Diaspora Council, led by Ashok Ramsaran, who is one of our honored speakers. In order to continue this weekly program, we are asking for suggestions and volunteers. If you choose to give a donation, Dr. Mahabir should be contacted to provide details, and we will ensure that your name will be placed on our poster and all promotional materials. I'm pleased to introduce our moderator today, who is Shalima Mohammed. She's also the co-director of this ICC Zoom platform. She's a cultural and heritage consultant, business psychologist, teacher, and researcher from right here in Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you so much, Ashirya. Always nice to have you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Namaste and a warm welcome to those of you in the Zoom room, as well as those of you viewing the live stream on the YouTube channel of the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center. Thanks so much for choosing to be here with us, even though there's a World Cup going on. So it's a privilege to welcome you all to today's presentation, in which we will be discussing monuments and reenactments in the Girmitiya Indentured Diaspora. This program would explore how monuments, memorials, and historical reenactments shape collective memory within the Girmitiya Indentured Diaspora. Across countries such as India, Fiji, Mauritius, Reunion, South Africa, Guyana, Suriname, and Trinidad and Tobago, among others, communities have created physical and performative spaces to commemorate the experiences of indentured laborers and their descendants. By examining these sites of remembrance, the discussion would highlight how heritage, identity, and cultural resilience are preserved and transmitted across generations. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to welcome our first speaker, and this is Kaberi Roy of India. Her current area of interest includes securing heritage recognition for Kolkata's Indentured Memorial Site in India. She's a member of the International Council on Monuments and Sites, more commonly called ICOMOS. Welcome, Kaberi.
Thank you, Shalima.
Yes.
Namaste from India. I'm honored and humbled to be given the chance to be in this international platform. So my first thanks goes to Dr. Shalima and to Dr. Kumar Mohabir. Our topic today is monuments and reenactments in the Girmitiya Indentured Diaspora. Should I start sharing my screen now?
Yes, please do. Yes.
Can you
Okay, there
please
it is.
see?
Yes.
So today I will be talking basically on these two memorials in Kolkata, two indentured memorials. The first is this one, the Kolkata Indentured Memorial, which came up in 2011. The second one is this one, the Suriname Memorial, which came up subsequently in 2015. Now, monument, as per the Oxford English Dictionary, is a structure built for commemorative or symbolic reasons, or as a memorial or a commemoration. Now, these two monuments, both the monuments fit this, definition to the T. These are structures built for commemorative or symbolic reasons. What is the symbolic reasons? To celebrate, or rather remember, all those Indian indentured labor who sailed from the shores of Calcutta to the distant countries. It is a memorial to their courage, to their greed, and it is a commemoration of their endurance, the memories, the cultures, the cuisines, the songs that they carried with them and succeeded in passing it on to the next generations, as well as the fierce pride, as a result of which I find that there are so many people who are identifying themselves so very proudly as Girmitiyas. Now, Kolkata is the city in India with not one but two memorials of indentured labor. Both are situated in the port area near the vicinity of the river Ganges. This particular stretch of the river here in Kolkata is nowadays known as Hooghly, but this is the river Ganges. Now, this particular memorial, which came up first, courtesy Mr. Ashok Ramsaran and late Madam Leela Gujathar Saru. It was their initiative, along with the government of India, that this memorial came up. I will just give you a very brief overview of the background as I have, because I was going through a few of the records. I find that in July 2010, there was a meeting in the ministry. The letter records that the ministry was desirous of establishing a memorial cum museum at a suitable site in Kolkata in honor of the indentured labor that sailed from Calcutta. As a first step, a commemorative plaque cum memorial could be established at or near the ship embarkation sites located within the Kolkata Port Trust. In this regard, the ministry writes, we had inspected some of the sites, and this inspection Mr. Ramcharan as well as late Madam Gujathar Saru both were part of these inspections, as I know. Ministry writes, we had inspected some of the sites and have found that the site of the location of Kiditpur Depot, including Watchtower, could serve as an ideal location for a commemorative plaque cum memorial spot. And then everything happened very quickly. Within the next 5-6 months, the design got approved, the funds were arranged, the language that was to be inscribed on the plaque was finalized. And in December 2010, 29th December 2010, we find that sanction of the President of the India was also received. As a result, on 11th January at 3 p.m. 2011, Shri Vayala Ravi, Honorable Minister for Overseas Indian Affairs, Government of India, inaugurated the memorial in presence of dignitaries from all across the world. Mr. Ramcharan will be in a better position, who is the next speaker, to give you further details. Now, a very interesting thing is the other memorial, the Suriname Memorial, that actually originated, the very concept originated from this memorial. Because I was going through a letter of September 2013. Miss Ashna Kanhai, Ambassador of Suriname to India, was writing to the Minister, Mr. Vayala Ravi of Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs. After visiting the Suriname Memorial, she communicated her congratulations, and then she goes on to write, this is very interesting. As per a convention signed in 1870, the Dutch colonizer was permitted to recruit Indian indentured laborers to work on the plantations in Suriname. The first ship, Lallaru, sailed from Kolkata to Suriname in 1873, and until 1910, approximately 30,000 persons originally from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar had left from the port of Kolkata for Suriname. The depot rented by the Consul of the Netherlands was at number 20 Garden Reach, Kolkata port area, and was to harbor the laborers until departure. The Dutch agency, who was in charge of the recruitment and shipping of the indentured laborers to Suriname, built a jetty, Suriname jetty, made of flagstones. She also continues to write, having been found one historical and perceivable token of our Indian origin, I communicated the experience to my fellow countrymen in June 2013 at the commemoration of 140 years of Indian immigration in Suriname. And with great enthusiasm, the idea was born to propose for a formal inauguration of the Suriname jetty with a nameplate and setting up a memorial pillar and erect a small replica of the Mai and Bab statue in Suriname. It would be a tangible spot for PIO of Suriname to pay tribute and respect. So, this first memorial, the concept of it appealed to the Suriname people, and that again led to the second memorial in 2015. It was unveiled in October 2015. And the very curious thing is, as we all know, Suriname was a Dutch colony. Within next 2 years, the government of Netherlands also arranged to insert a plaque in the same statue. You can see it below the statue there. So that is how, that is a very brief background of the two memorials here in Kolkata. But the question came to my mind that why Kolkata? Why there are two memorials that we are finding here? As far as my understanding goes, the answer lies in the fact that first, Kolkata was the city from which it all started initially. The first batch that sailed to Mauritius, the 36 hill coolies from Chota Nagpur area, who sailed on board ship Atlas under Captain Hatsui and reached Mauritius, Port Louis, in 2nd November 1834, opened a floodgate. After that, repeated batches started to be, exported to different colonies. Initially, Mauritius was acting as a floodgate, as we all know. Now, second point that is very important in the context of Kolkata is the very basic framework of indenture was shaped in this city. Think of the first legislature of 1837. Thereafter came that 6-member committee of 1838. Their reports shaped further legislature of indenture. The debates, the newspaper reports, and all the legislatures that were shaped, drafted, the rules formed on how the depots to be conducted, the indentured labor to be registered, everything started here. So Calcutta was the city that provided the very basic framework of indentured that sustained for the next 8-9 decades, almost a century. The next point that I would like to highlight is emergence of the identity of Girmitiya. That also took its germination in these depots, because 19th century India was a very strict society in terms of caste, creed, religion. There you did not find a Brahmin taking a meal along with a Muslim or a Dalit. But it was in these depots that they were sharing meals, sharing rooms, sharing their feelings, emotions, everything. Subsequently, the Jahaji Biradari that emerged during that long, tough sea voyage, and afterwards, during their tough days in the plantations, all this led to this Girmitiya identity, which germinated, started forming in these depots in Calcutta. And of course, we also have to keep in mind that Calcutta had the largest hinterland, because there were other port cities like Chennai, Pondicherry, Bombay, from which a lot of migration took place. But Calcutta was the city with the largest hinterland in terms of the huge Ganges plain. It was not only Lower Bengal, it was Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, part of Odisha, part of Jharkhand, part of Madhya Pradesh. So a huge area was covered for collection of the indentured people. And of course, this was the last land parcel that so many of them touched, which led to that identification of Kolkata. Be it in Fiji, be it in Mauritius, people identify themselves as Kolkatias even now. And that means identity started from here. They were not Muslims or Hindus, Brahmins or Dalits, they were Kolkatias. And then again, the largest number also sailed from this particular city because of the factors that I have explained earlier. But given all this, as well as the awareness that is there right now and the memorials, fact remains that a lot is to be done till now. In fact, indentured labor, as far as my understanding goes, indentured labor system is largely overlooked by history, or rather in history, till now. In India, I do not know about other countries, but in India, it is still to be reflected in the school books. People in general, even now, are not much aware of this indentured labor system. In fact, the research work, a lot of research work has taken place regarding indentured labor system over the past half century, starting from Hugh Tinker, Bridge Villal, and so many others, so many good works. But in each of these works, I find that Calcutta, or for that matter, Chennai, or Bombay, or Pondicherry, they get very casual mention as ports of embarkation or port of departure, that much only. But so much is to be done at this end as well. So we have to become aware of this and start acting accordingly. So with that, I come to the end portion of my presentation today. I just invite your attention to the recent developments which are taking place there. As for the first memorial, the indentured memorial that came up in 2011, a port museum is coming up in the vicinity. As of now, the port is planning 5 galleries there in the museum, out of which 1 gallery will be for indentured labor system only. Adjacent to the museum, we are planning for an auditorium and a food court where country-specific, Mauritius, Fiji, Suriname, country-specific food stalls will be there. That is the plan as of now. As for Suriname Memorial, it has recently been developed beautifully into a yoga park. In fact, this 21st June, next week, next Sunday, yoga is going to be held there. The garden there in front of this Mai Bap statue is going to depict all the countries to where the Indian indentured labor sailed. In addition, there is also a plan to shift the port archive there in the vicinity of Suriname Memorial. However, that is yet to be finalized. With that, I come to the end of my presentation today. Thank you all for your patience hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kabiri. And I'm very, very happy that you raised the museum project. I
Thank you.
saw a raised hand earlier, Krishna Padiyachi, and I really had hoped to take all the questions at the end of all the presentations, but because I know it's very late for you in India, we will take those questions for you. Is that okay with you?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Great. So Krishna, please go ahead. You can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Yes. Thank you, madam, for your presentation. I just wanted to
Thank you, sir.
know whether there is a memorial in Chennai or for the immigrants or the indentured laborers that went to other countries like South Africa, Mauritius, Reunion. Is there a monument? Do you know? Is there a monument in Chennai for that?
As far as my knowledge goes, till now, no, but it may come up very shortly.
Okay, that's all I wanted to ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Wonderful. Chand, go ahead with your question, please. Please unmute your mic.
Sorry. Okay. I just wanted to know why the Kolkata Memorial is not accessible.
No,
Unless,
madam, I believe you had been here a few years back. If you come now, it is very much accessible.
no, I was there last September and we were told we could not go in because it is in private lane.
No. Everybody can go there now. Somehow there was some miscommunication, maybe. Next time you are here, you please contact me. I will ensure that you go there. Everybody goes there. It is very
Yeah,
much
we were
accessible.
sad because the guard, we had a tour guide from Girmitiya Foundation, Dilip Giri, and he talked to
Okay,
the guard. We all requested, but they said no, we couldn't go in.
that is very unfortunate. I will definitely take it up with the people there.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Kabiri, for the benefit of the audience, would you mind just disclosing, please, how would one visit the site?
See, now there is Google. So you just type Indentured Memorial, you will reach there. And in case there is any problem, the port people are always there. You can always access them. Any of us, we definitely will help you.
Okay, and what are the opening hours?
It's open always.
Oh, it's freely open.
Yeah.
24/7.
Till now, yes. Till now, yes.
Okay, terrific. So we are being asked by Shushi to please provide your contact information.
Do please share.
Okay. We will put that in the chat, everyone. So please check the chat and you'll be able to contact Ms. Roy. We have a hand up as well from Kumu Gupta. Kumu, go ahead, please.
Yeah, hi. Amazing to see these memorials. My question is,
Hello.
who was the president at the time who signed for it? And what is the stand of the Indian government today in support of these kind of projects for an recognition of indentured labor?
Name of the president, I will have to check and let you know. As for the second part of your question, I didn't get it properly. Will you kindly repeat again?
Yeah, what is the stand of the Indian government today in support of recognition of indentured labor and these sites in India and their history?
I believe Indian government is very much open to, recognizing the sites and the history, because our PM Modi ji has been repeatedly saying that he identifies with all the problems and the indentured labor people, the Girmitiya people. So I believe he is very much open to, entertain your requests.
Thank you very much, Kaveri. We really
Welcome.
appreciate your having taken the time to be here with us. I know
I'm
it's very,
honored.
very late in India, and thank you so much for sharing all that you have. Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you.
Great.
Bye.
And I'm going to introduce now the person who was there at the time that the Kolkata Memorial was being established, and this is none other than Mr. Ashraf Ramsaran. He lives in the USA, but he's originally from down here in the Caribbean in Guyana, the first recipient country of Indian indentures in the Caribbean. He's the president of the Indian Diaspora Council, who was instrumental, as Kabiri said, in the establishment of the Kolkata Memorial in India, many other Indian arrival monuments in the diaspora, as well as street naming in New York. He's the executive vice president of the Queen's Civic Congress. And importantly, on June 11th, a few days ago, he moderated the forum to elect the best candidate for New York State's 13th Senate District. Always a pleasure to have you here, Mr. Apsara.
Thank you very much. Quite an introduction. Before I begin, I want to make a statement because we need every forum to make these statements. The starving and dying children, women, and young people in various parts of the world, how sorrowful, shameful, and world complicit in silence, all in the name of power, greed, and ethnic cleansing. Very sad indeed. And for the victims and families of diseases, droughts, and global warming. And with that, happy Father's Day to all fathers and fathers-to-be coming up. I appreciate the work that Dr. Kumar Mahabir, Michelle Mohammed, co-host, and Navin for providing this platform, as Saberi said, for a global platform to discuss issues of interest. I admire your selfless contribution of time, talent, and resources to bring members of the Indian diaspora closer to each other, especially at the time of rapid mobility, internet, and faced with migration and human rights issues in many countries. You can put up the first slide now, Navin. I am pleased to be among excellent speakers at this forum, in particular Kaveri, who is very much in contact with me on different issues, Lena Armodon, and attended by friends and associates, including Professor David Dabidin of the Mena Gafoor Institute, also a supporter of this program. I will answer questions and respond to your comments after the conclusion of my presentation. And I want to share my knowledge of the monuments and reenactments on slide number 2, which is the list of things which I intend to discuss as briefly and as intently as possible. I want to share my knowledge of monuments and reenactments, as I have initiated and supported monuments in various countries, as Shalom pointed out, to mark Indian departures and arrivals, as well as collaborate on subsequent activities. When I was working on the Indian arrival monument to be installed at Waterloo Temple by the Sea in Trinidad, Ina Maraj, my longtime associate, who is also known well to Shalima, an advocate in Trinidad and Tobago, told me this. She said, Ashok, after all the speeches are made, after all the dal and rice is eaten, all the magazines and newspapers distributed, the only thing that remains standing are those things made of stone. How so profound. I always remember that, and thank you, Ina. The recently published book by The Wisma Massacre by Dr. Betaram Ramarak, who was profiled on this program, quoted me on page 601 of his book. And it quotes as follows: memorial monuments are public displays to acknowledge, honor, and remember significant past events and personalities, lest we forget. The Wisma Massacre of May 1964 was a horrific racial attack that should be remembered for posterity, with its own memorial monument that is suitably designed inscribed and prominently located for optimum visibility. As other monuments have been done, the Wisma Massacre was a critical event in Guyana's history, and a memorial monument can help to accurately visualize history. So I will move on, but whether it's Stonehenge, Machu Picchu, the pyramids, the Iron Pillar of Delhi, the ancient temples of India, these define significant history and events. Yes, monuments transcend place and time. I will try to reach this object. I will address the following. Not included in this presentation are religious institutions and places of worship, which are sometimes massive and well adorned. So we'll stay with the diaspora monuments. Next slide. Within the context of monuments and reenactment, we should consider the following: the methods used, the monuments and the types, the observances and the reenactments, the importance and significance of these things, monuments and reenactments, historical commemoration, cultural preservation, pride and ethnic cohesion, shared Girmitiya experience, and national holidays. And a few countries have really enacted laws to respect that. Let's move on to the next. In this slide, you have a list of all the Girmitiya countries where indentured laborers went. There are two corrections to be made, as Shalima pointed out to me early this morning, and we will make that correction. It's about Trinidad being May 30th, and the name of the ship in Jamaica is Hondell, right? So that will be corrected. You'll notice that there are many, many countries there. Some of them have small numbers and some of them have significant numbers. So next slide. So this is the Calcutta Memorial that Kaberi referred to. On the left is the Calcutta Memorial done in January 2011. And I'm so proud of my role in getting that done, convincing the government of India to construct it. And I wrote the inscription there, and I'm so happy to have done that. And then subsequently that in 2015, the people of Suriname had this done in the Suriname depot known as Balugat. The one in Calcutta Memorial is at Kidapur. So next slide, please. And I'll go through the countries that are listed here. This is a Pravasi Ghat in Mauritius, which is now a UNESCO site. The next one is the one in Fiji. The next slide. Reunion Island, which Lena will speak about shortly. The next one is South Africa. Next slide. Arrival Monument in Guyana. And there are two of those, one in Georgetown, which is this photo, and one in Highbury. And I was implementing that. The one in Suriname, which is to the right. Next. And these are the two in Trinidad. I'm sure Shalima and Kumar very much aware of this. Temple by the Sea in 2014, and the one which is the Abolition Centennial in Chaguanas in 2017. And I'm so happy to have been part of this as well. Next. This one is in Jamaica, which has about 60,000 Indians. Arrival Monument in Grenada is the next one. Small number, but very much observant. Next is Guadeloupe. And the one in the middle is in the backyard of a lady whose husband passed away, and she built this boat as a symbolic memorial to him. Interesting. And I went there, visited her, and took this photo. The next one is Martinique, which Mahin Punswami and I worked on. Mahin is online now with GIO on this program. And it's written in French, but it was fabricated in Trinidad, similar to the ones done in Trinidad. Next. Now we go to reenactments. It has become traditionally many Girmitiya countries to commemorate their respective Indian arrival days with collaborative events, including dramatic reenactments, prayers, songs, dances, colorful performances, where there's significant percentage of Indian population, elected officials normally participate in these events. These arrival monuments and commemorations are very important for people of Indian origin, for their identity and relevance in their respective countries and the global Indian diaspora. And staying on the same slide, what is the historical commemoration? It is marking the many years since their first arrival from India. Example, in Reunion Island, 1828, Mauritius in 1834, Guyana, 1838. In fact, when I met with Indian Prime Minister Modi ji at the Indian Arrival Monument in Guyana, which I was instrumental in putting, in November 24, I met with him, he was so impressed and grateful that Guyanese of Indian origin retain the culture and historical bonds with India after 190 years, and erected replica of the Calcutta Memorial to symbolize and remember that. It's very symbolic of the bond that we hold so dear. The next one is cultural preservation. The annual commemorations are means of cultural preservation, songs, dances, youth engagement, dramatic presentation, articles, and publications, which will become part of history for present and future generations. And the next topic is pride and ethnic cohesion. Living amidst other ethnic groups, Girmitiya populations take pride in commemoration of Indian arrival days and other cultural events. This brings people together and provides settings for more ethnic cohesion with non-Indian groups as well. You can picture that in Trinidad, where everybody sing and dance chutney and eat doubles. So you can see how the influence of Indianness and Indian culture spreads to others. And then finally, the shared Girmitiya experience. Arrival Day commemorations bring people from various Girmit countries together, sharing similar experiences. The government of India, high commissioners, the officials from India are in attendance. Several Indian universities have Indian diaspora departments and hold conferences on Girmit history. The Calcutta Port Trust, which Kaberi just concluded her presentation, held its first conference on September 15, 2025, and planning one for 2026 as well. It's important to remember what Kaberi said. The first ship that left the port of Calcutta left on 15th of September to Mauritius. So where we in different Girmit countries celebrate or commemorate Indian Arrival Day, the Port Trust is celebrating and thinking of Indian Departure Day. And the initial date is September 15th. The next item is national holidays. A few countries where you have large populations of Indians have enacted laws designating Indian Arrival Day as national holidays. Mauritius, Fiji, Guyana, Suriname, Trinidad, and even with Grenada with a small population of Indians. So the conclusion of this, my presentation would focus on the indentured labor route and the UNESCO designation of historical sites. I've been working closely with Kaberi and the Calcutta Port Trust and the Architectural Survey of India, ASI, for UNESCO designation of the Girmit departure depots and heritage sites, which includes the future museums that are going to be put up there. And this final thing is reenactment at second destination country. For people like me living in America and those in Canada, UK, and the Netherlands, we have been witnessing Girmit populations holding respective Indian Arrival Day commemoration and celebration, reenactment of some of the activities in their countries of origin. Isn't it amazing? You can see the picture over there. This is in New York, Toronto, and London. How amazing, but I believe personally, it's a good thing. But personally, I believe it should be named Departure Day. I don't know what's while this is good for cultural preservation, I believe that it should be called by another name so that the offspring can distinguish the difference. Is it arrival or departure? But the conclusion is as follows. I trust that this presentation has provided useful information and leads to more curiosity and further engagement. Thank you for this time. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ramsaran. An interesting question that you raised there, and perhaps it's something that we should have a panel discussion about. Arrival or departure?
Yes, absolutely. You don't want to confuse the next generation.
Sure. Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Ramsaran? I remember Kumu having asked which president of India was instrumental in having the Kolkata Memorial installed. So can you just probably explain how you went about getting that done? And
The
with
president
whom?
of India at the time was Patil, P-A-T-I-L, the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, and the Minister of Overseas Indian Affairs, Pala Ravi, and I discussed it in New York. And he said, I looked him straight in the eye and said, this is something you have to do. He said, why? I said, because it's the right thing to do. And he said, okay, write it up. I wrote 1 page, gave it to him. 2 days later, he gave me a call from New Delhi and he said, can you get here? Ramsaranji, can you get to New Delhi? I said, how soon? He said, as soon as possible. So I got there, he looked it over, signed it off, and we ended up in front of Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, and the order was approved. Work began in July 2010. Visited Calcutta, took a government boat called a launch with some map makers and cartographer, whatever demographers, map makers, and we went up and down the Hooghly River until I spotted that Demerara clock tower. And I asked, what is it? They said Demerara. But that has nothing to do with Guyana. I said, it has everything to do with Guyana because that's the original name of British Guyana, Demerara. Said we stop right here, walk over those planks that was rickety. Nobody walked over them since 1920, and walked through the barracks area, sat down on the depot where the ships used to come and load the passengers, picked the site overlooking the river and marked it and said, this is where it's going to happen, and came back to New Delhi, signed off, wrote the inscription on the airplane coming back home, long flight, and a bottle of wine. It was very inspirational. I remember Umar Khayyam's talking things like that. But it was done and inaugurated on January 11th. I'm so proud of that, and a good thing because everything else follows from that. Okay,
I
any
can
more
imagine
questions?
the emotion. I can just imagine the emotion when you were there.
Well, one of the things when I went there in 2010 in July and sat on the cutout, the depot where the ship comes, and I sat there on that concrete slab, and I could not locate my ancestors where they're from because there was no record of that. And I said to myself, if I cannot do it for myself, let me do it for everybody. Let me do something significant as a generic symbol, which it was. And that's what the whole story is. It's representation of the aspirations of all those people who left and their descendants to take pride in that they made so much of an effort going blindly to these countries, not knowing where or when or how or what, but going there to seek a better livelihood and being able to achieve that so that you and I and all these people now can have this conversation. So it is an emotional but satisfying event. We hope to pass it on to people like you, Shalima, Kumar, and other younger ones so that you can take this torch and run with it and make us all proud, just like we made our ancestors proud.
And we really, really appreciate all your efforts.
Thank you.
I'm very inspired by you. You know this. I want to thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anytime.
I see Kumu with her hand up. I think she has another question for you. Go ahead, please, Kumu.
No, Ashokji, I just want to congratulate you. What an amazing feat or project or effort, all of the above. And it's like Godspeed. It went ahead so nicely with all your work and efforts, and it helped that Ravi, the Consul General, was a nice person too. He was here in the US for some time. So thank you for that. It's so inspiring and uplifting and hopeful. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. So we'll move on to the next speaker, and if there are any further questions at the end, I'm sure you'll be happy to take them. Thank you very much, Mr. Armstrong. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome Dr. Lena Armudam of Reunion Island. She's an orthodontist by profession. She serves as president of Heritage France Reunion India, I hope I pronounced that correctly, and is a life member of the Global Organization of People of Indian Origin, GOPIO. Welcome, Dr. Lena.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But first of all, I would like to you beg your indulgence because I'm not historian and I don't speak English fluently like you. And it's very late in Reunion Island now. It's 11 p.m. But I think the subject is very emotional. I would like to thank you to give me the opportunity to speak about the Barashwa Memorial, for which I was the initiator and president of committee, as well as Mr. Ashok Ramsaran, who inspired me with the Kolkata Memorial when we met in 2015 in New York during the GOPIO event. So, but and I want to thank you, you and the Dr. Kumar, before speaking about this subject. I think it's very important maybe to make a small review of our history because, yes, I think it's better for you, for everybody, to read while I'm speaking because as French is quite complicated for me. So I would like next you can when I don't want to speak too more about history, but I just want to emphasize the fact that Indian presence is very earlier in the history of Reunion Island. The Indian presence in Reunion dates back to the origins of the island settlement in the 17th century. So we can note the first slave on the island was a young Indian boy of 12 years old, sold by the priest. And 15 of the 7 women considered to be the grandmothers of Reunions were Indian Reunion population. So we can say Reunion population is marked by Indian DNA. I think it's important to note it. And you can, next please, because you can, I just put this picture because it is workers of the 7th century. Next, you can read the history. So we were Indian slaves before the massive arrival of Indians engaged in sugar in 19th century. After the loss of Saint-Domingue by France, which was a huge producer of sugar. After their commitment period, those who remain on the island will become traders, craftsmen, or farmers, and will then be able to access massively education with departmentalization in 1946. Should be okay for everyone? We go. And I think it's after a story, I think it's a very significant, to make the difference between the French colonization and the British colonization, because French colonization, you can, scroll the timetable for me, please. You can go next. Just show you, yes. Yes, yeah, I would like to emphasize, the comparison between British and French, because, in French island, we have Indian entity, it shapes the French. You can go on. Next, please. Next. Yes, please. No, last. You can, please. I just want to say that the French colonial system generally promoted the idea of assimilation. For example, French became the dominant language. Indian language, such as Tamil, gradually declined across generations, and many descendants adopted French names or French styles. The French government facilitated mixed marriage, encouraged assimilation into French society, and the government discouraged strong technique. That is to say that in Reunion Island, former French colony, it is more difficult, to keep Indian culture. But we next, please. Next. And just want to say, it's okay. The British, I don't want to speak about the British colonial model, because you know it very well. Where I try to explain to you with what it is French Indian in Reunion Island, and how it can preserve its cultural identity. Next, please. Next. Today, no, last, please. Today, you see, the descendants of Indian Reunion Island, called Malabar, for most of them, is specific. He has got the French nationality. He was born in Reunion Island with Indian origin. They don't speak Tamil, only French and Creolean. They practice some syncretism and create its mythical Indian rune. Participate strongly to the social cohesion, but it's more difficult, I repeat it, for descendants on French Indentured to preserve Indian heritage, but he did it and by transformation, and he did it by his religion. So we can see the monuments. Next, please. Next. They preserve their story through archives, monuments, temple, ritual, festivals, and cultural reenactments. So I'm not want to be too long. So if you can read, it's better for me. I just want to show you some temples. Next. if everybody read. Temples were founded by indentured laborers because they were allowed to continue some religious practices in their contracts. They serve as both religious centers and symbol of cultural survival. Temple architecture is similar as South India temple. So, in Réunion, the main difference is that a community temple serves the wider Indian population, while a family temple preserves the religious tradition of a particular family lineage and its ancestral deity. Next, I show you now different temple, famous temple in Réunion. Next, it is on the East Coast. Everything is on the picture and it's written. I think it's better for you because of my bad English. Temple of it is the oldest temple in Réunion Island. Next. You can see many temples in Réunion Island. Next. It is a big one in the coast east. Next. Next, please. Next. Next. Next, please. This is a Lazare. Lazare is, it's a place where indentured laborers, were for quarantine, when they arrived in Réunion Island. That's why I put this. And every year, we commemorate the end of indenture on the 11th of November. Next. So that's the memorial, we reach in the main place of Réunion Island, and I will speak about it separately at last. I think it's better maybe to show some tradition festival in Réunion Island, who came with at the beginning with the indentured laborers. Next, I would like to speak about, it is another stay in Réunion Island in Saint-Leu to commemorate the end of the indentured laborer. Next. It is, land of indentured laborer. They can buy, fortunately, with hard work. Next, and a beautiful house of Indian indenture. It is Indian architect, because there's Indian workers who came from India, and they gave they are self-made. They were very confident. Next. This is a factory of sugar. Factory belongs to a very rich Indian man, which name is Moruvin and Nilameyam. Next, please. So, I would like, to show you, a very traditional fireworking as historical reenactment, because we don't know if we can speak about fireworking as historical reenactment. You will tell me. So I would like to show you a small video. Next. If we have time. you can
Au de Saint-Leu, au milieu des plantations de canne et de maïs, nous nous arrêtons surpris devant un petit temple qui domine la mer. Nous nous approchons pour regarder les fresques de couleurs vives qui en ornent les murs peints à la chaux. Lorsqu'un homme, aux traits fins, à la peau très sombre, un grand anneau d'or à l'oreille gauche, nous demande de nous déchausser et de ne pas dépasser une aire d'où émerge une pierre blanche, sous peine d'encourir les pires maléfices. Ce temple est dédié aux divinités que les Malabars vénèrent. Les Malabars sont arrivés dans l'île à la fin du XIXe siècle après l'abolition de l'esclavage. Originaires de la côte sud-ouest de l'Inde, venus avec des contrats de travail libre, la plupart d'entre eux sont restés et ont fondé des familles. Au début de janvier, en plein été, ils célèbrent leur grande fête religieuse qui se termine par les marches dans le feu.
1955.
Cette cérémonie se prépare de longues semaines à l'avance. Elle va durer toute la journée, environ 12 heures.
They are speaking in French. And I think it's important
À
to know.
l'intérieur du tabernacle, en forme de dôme, les lampes à huile éclairent faiblement les 7 divinités taillées dans du bois, peint de vives couleurs. Le roulement des tambours, les tintements grêles d'une clochette, les parfums d'encre et d'encens, le sacrifice des cabris, le sang répandu, m'emplissent d'un certain malaise. Le cortège se promène ensuite à travers la campagne. À l'embranchement des chemins, les fidèles ont préparé des corbeilles de fleurs et des poulets à offrir en sacrifice. Le sentier est jonché de pétales odorants. Le soleil
Should be
descend sur la
okay.
mer et le cortège revient vers les temples.
You can go on if you want.
Bousculés dans la foule hostile, nous filmons ces images rendues sur un vaste
Yes.
rectangle de 6 mètres sur 15.
Okay. And at last, I would like to speak about the Bal Tamul as a cultural reenactment because it's a tradition inspired by the Mahabharata and Ramayana. It combines the storytelling, dance, costume, and ritual. Performance transmits historical and mythological memory across generation, and it allows especially actors to forget their poor condition during one night. That's why. Next, please. It is a picture of Bal Tamul. It's like, you know, it's a theater scene. Next. Kavdi is a symbol of different. So we would like to demonstrate that, you know, they could preserve their cultural, Indian cultural, with Kavdi and firework through the origin, you know. That's why, you know, we speak about this. The Kavdi is symbol of devotion as practice carried on the shoulder of pilgrims I show you some photos, some pictures. We can go on, please. Next. It is one of the picture of the last Varstal in a Reunion. It is an official, because now many officials came from India. Today we don't have any Pusari from Reunion Island. They came from India directly. Next, please. Dago is an old festival, you know. It is they represent God at the beginning of the year. Next. Okay, I think there's many. I don't want to now to go. We go to the conclusion. Next, please. Show you some picture of our heritage in Reunion Islands. Everybody knows the influence of Indian in Reunion Island, but I show you by pictures. I think it's better. And the picture, yes. The young generations love wearing Indian clothes during Indian festivals. And the new festival are Deepavali and Holi in Reunion Island. It's like beautiful, yes. Indian New Year is celebrated, but is new because before we celebrated Pongal. Next. So I read the conclusion. Indian Indentured laborers help shape Reunion history. Memorial and temples honor the legacy. Five walking, Kavji, and Baltam keep ancestral tradition alive. Today, our traditions fuel Indian cultures such as Deepavali Holi. Together, monuments and reenactments substance cultural memory across generations. The story of Indian diaspora in Reunion is preserved not only in monuments, but also in ritual, performance, and community memory. So now, I am going to speak about the memorial. You can maybe I would like to see the PowerPoint on the memorial, please. Quickly, I make a brief review about the memorial.
Navin has a other PowerPoint. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You can next, please. Okay. Yes. So I think it's significant, to explain the history of the creation of the stele. It is written. I read it for you. So the Barsha Memorial Project was conceived during the PBD event in Mauritius. Following my meeting with the Minister for Overseas Indian Affairs, the idea was at the back of my mind from then. It was revived at another interview with Mr. Ashok Ramsaran, President of International Gokyo in New York in September 2020. What started? Yes, I'm very, I'm sorry, but I am tired.
You're doing very well.
What started as a project 3 years ago became an historic event on the 6th October 2015. So next, please. To erect the memorial, it is because it was my duty, our duty, to pay tribute to Indian ancestors of Reunion Island, not only indentured laborers, but also Indian slaves and other free Indian servants. You can read something, because the unveiling of the memorial, was on the 6th of October. So I always think about these worker, and who came on the chokers, it's one of the boat who came at first in a Reunion Island to preserve their memory and to recognize their contribution and sacrifices. Next. Next. The barrage and we enrich the state to facilitate the transmission of historical memory to the next generation. And we would like to strengthen cultural identity despite the assimilation. And we want to foster community cohesion. And we like to connect Indochina Reunion history to the global Indian diaspora. That's why I am here and speak about the memorial. So next, please. Next. So we choose last. We can, please, you can go back because I would like to show you the picture of Baracha. It is the main place in Reunion Island. It is a photo in 1863. We show you, boat on the and the port of Barashwa in Reunion Island. That's why I decide to choose this place, and it is because it is a very symbolical place for the French government, because there's what I say, the hotel of the government just here. You can't see it here, but it's just you can see many monuments. It is just on the right. Okay. Next. So I choose the site of the Barsha. I just tell you why. And the unveiling, of the ceremony, attending by all Reunion dignitaries and thousands of Reunion Islander. But it was the first visit to Reunion of an Indian minister in function, who conclude that I'm sure that this memorial will become the vanguard of India-French relation and India Reunion. So this event marks another milestone in our history. Next. It is the Minister Dr. Mahesh Sharma, who was the Minister of Tourism, and the Prefect with a high dignitary French dignitary. Next. This is a piece of Dr. Mahesh Sharma. I just want to, I'm not going to read you, if you can, I'm not going to, I just want you to have a look. If you want, I will send it to you, the speech of Dr. Mahesh Sharma. Next. 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 Yes, I would like to thank you, this person in charge of the design of construction of the memorial. You know, they did it as soon they knows the minister came to unveil the memorial, because you know it just stay one day for the unveiling of the memorial and the Indian Center in Reunion Island. Next. For the 10th anniversary of the sale, we put panels, historical panels. Next, I think I finished. I'm sorry, I'm finished. I'm sorry because it's very, very late in Reunion Island, and I would like to just to tell you, thanks to Mr. Ashok, and I did the memorial, and I managed to make to unify all the Indian association in Reunion Island to share it. Thank you very much, and
Thank you.
sorry and apologize for my you know I apologize for my bad English, but you know, it's now, I don't know, but it's more than 12, and I'm going to
Dr.
I must
Lena.
go now.
Dr. Lena,
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm still waiting to hear the bad English. You've been excellent.
I don't think it's excellent now, but you know, I'm not historian, you know, I am orthodontist, and you know, but I feel very Indian soul, you know. We never forget our Indian soul. That's why, you know, we try to do something to persevere and to, you know, to shape. You know, to persevere, to preserve our Indian culture. It's not very easy, but we try to do, and but I think it's time to. I'm finished now.
Thank you. And I'd just like to
Okay.
congratulate you on all the efforts that you all have made. I think it's remarkable. I've never seen, for example, Kavadi. I don't know how many persons in the audience are aware of this. I find it to be very unique. It's the very first time I'm seeing it. And I really want to thank you very much for bringing that. I see you mentioned Pongal and so on that you all observe, but I think what you all have in reunion is an exceptional preservation of the Indian culture. And may I ask you, do you speak Tamil?
Unfortunately, not. In my presentation, I tell you what it is. French policy, you know, French policy colonization is assimilation. So we speak French, only French and Creolian. But my great parents spoke Tamil, but you know, it is integration in adopted land, need, you know, to lose our mother language.
I understand.
Nowadays, young people try to speak, but it's very difficult because we don't practice any Tamil language in the daily. They can't because they must face globalization today. So it's quite complicated. But even, you know, I try to learn Sanskrit, but it's so horrible, awful, because it's very difficult.
Okay, I understand. Even for us who are English speakers, who have very much lost the Hindi language, the Urdu language, and any of the other Indian languages in Trinidad, I understand it's very, very difficult. So we listen to a lot of Indian songs and we look at a lot of Indian movies to be able to get that language and part of the culture.
Yes, but I just want to ask one question, what's the meaning of Girmitiya? Girmitiya, because in French, indenture is all indenture mean contract, and Girmitiya in Hindi means contract. I think it's we
That's
say
right.
it's the same. It's a repetition.
That's correct. Yes.
Yes, it's a repetition because
Yes.
I have no time to
To research it.
okay, it's a repetition. It's but why do
Right.
you want? Why do you why do you write Girmitiya and Indentured in your subject?
So,
Please.
Dr. Mahaber, why don't you answer that question?
Why Girmitiya and what?
Indenture.
Well, okay, so when we talk about the Indian diaspora, in this program, we tend to focus more on the Girmitiyas and their descendants, people who have the experience of indentureship, as opposed to Indians who came as traders and the recent migrants who are coming to these North American countries and Western Europe who are engineers and IT professionals and so on. But I see Shardanan has a professor, so maybe he wants to talk. He might explain better. Baba, go ahead, unmute. Unmute. Yes, you can put on your video too.
Oh, video? Okay.
Yeah, you can put it on.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, good, good, good.
Hello, everyone. Yes, it is a very important question because it is double. Girmitiya is a translation from agreement. And the word Girmitiya came from Girmit. Why? It is the first used by the group of contract laborers. They couldn't, that is a long history, but they couldn't pronounce agreement, so they call Girmit. They call themselves Girmitiyas. And we have made Girmitiyology. And it is double, so we can use indentured labor diaspora. We are not Indian diaspora. That is my idea. We can also use the term Girmitiya diaspora communities. And we are studying this. It is not only my idea. So that is the answer. And in the chat, I have put a suggestion supporting Ashok Ramsaran, because his proposal is excellent. And Kaveri Roy knows, she is busy, and we know that there are more than one day to use this as a comrade, as a day to remember, comrade the Girmitiyas. There are many. One is September 10. Why? Because September 10 was the first group signed the agreement, the Girmit. The second is after 5 days, on September 15 of 16 in 1834, the Atlas shipped the first group. Are we going to take September 10 or are we going to take September 15? Next one is, when is indentured labor officially abolished? And that is what, of course, Ashok Bhaiji is mentioning. There are 3 days. And that's my idea, is come together, and I think no other person like Ashok Kumar can plead this thing. So I would like to beg you to take this lead and bring all the Girmitiya leaders together to have now finally an emigration day. Would you like to do that, sir? Thank you very much. Dhanyavad.
So Sharima
Thank
would
you.
decide.
Thank you for the reply. Because it is important because I think there's a difference between Girmitiya in the diaspora. There's a difference between Girmitiya and not Girmitiya. That's
Yes.
my conclusion. That's my conclusion.
Yes.
Thank you. You got it correctly. We have one more question for you from Mr. Satyadat. Go ahead, please.
Namaskar, everyone. Yeah, I mean, I think the question is like Girmit and Girmitiya. Looking at Girmit, in those days, all those who came were taken to the countries, they had the contract and they signed the contract. So, and that was the agreement. So through that word agreement, they could not pronounce because they were illiterate. And the word Girmit came in. So that Girmit actually refers to the agreement that they signed. And Girmitiya refers to the person who signed the agreement. So I look in through my studies, Girmitiya is the person who signed the agreement, and Girmit is the indenture system, the agreement. So that refers like that.
Yeah.
From my perspective. Thank you.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you very much for that. And the word
Thank you.
indenture actually comes from the French word, and Dr. Lena, correct me if I'm wrong, it's pronounced indenture.
In French, you say no. Indenture doesn't exist in French. We say
No?
we say engagé. Engagé.
Engagé.
Okay.
In
so that
French,
refers to contract.
it is engagé. It is a contract. Yes, it is the same. It is a contract. Yes, I would like to define this contract because it is important. It is because we know that many people, they didn't understand what have they done with this contract, and it is yes. And in the memorial for the 10 years of the memorial, we put a picture of the first contract of the contract of the first indentured worker in Reunion Island. We did it.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you. And in answer to your original question, one of the reasons why on the ICC posters you will see the word indenture as well as Girmitiya is because there were indentured immigrants who were of African heritage, of Chinese heritage, as well as Portuguese heritage. So we use the word Girmitiya to represent those of us who are descendants of the Indian indentured workers. So that's our differentiation on our posters. And I want to thank you very much for raising that. And I want to thank you as well for your very, very enlightening presentation. I'm very, very happy that we had you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And unfortunately, I must leave now because I'm working tomorrow morning. So thank you thank you both of you to give me the opportunity, and thank you. I would like to make a
Morning,
thank you
guys.
to Ashok.
Get something to do. Go back to your learning areas. Oh,
You are
sorry.
going to speak? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we would have loved to continue chatting, but we do have our final speaker who's waiting anxiously to do his presentation. And Mr. Rizwan Abbas, I want to thank you very much for your patience. Let me introduce you properly. Everyone, Mr. Rizwan Abbas is a Canadian of Fijian origin. He's an archaeologist with the, I'm not too sure if I'm pronouncing this one correctly, is it Semiahmoo?
Yeah,
The
that's right.
Semiahmoo First Nation. and a director of both the Indo-Fijian Cultural Society of Canada and the British Columbia Heritage Federation. Welcome.
Thank you. Without further ado, I think I'll just jump into my presentation. So let's get going here. Okay. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. Kiso kukwit. Assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ram Ram. Pranam. Bula Vinaka and Haishweo. I begin my greetings with that of the Tunaka Nation, who allowed me the privilege of being born and raised in their traditional territory in the Elk Valley. And I end with that of the Semiahmoo First Nation, who have been gracious hosts here where I live and work today. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, like it is here in Canada, or good evening to everybody else in the rest of the world. I acknowledge that the lands of Canada were wrongfully stolen from our Indigenous people, and I thank them from the very bottom of my heart for giving me, my family, and our Canadian Indo-Fijian community the opportunity to build a life for ourselves on this great land. I would also like to thank Dr. Kumar Mahabir for inviting me here today, and I would especially like to thank the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center for hosting this Thought Leaders Forum for as long as you have, and for giving us all an opportunity to unite throughout the world as children of Girmitiya. Thank you for being here today. As was mentioned before, my name is Rizwan Abbas. I'm a director of the Indo-Fijian Cultural Society of Canada. I'm also an archaeologist with the Semiahmoo First Nation. And just before I begin, I would like to start with a very short video, just to give a history of the Girmit situation in Fiji.
Rizwan, is there audio on this video?
Okay, thank you. I wanted to show this video because this is one that resonates not just with Fijians, but with all descendants of Girmitiyas throughout the world. But the one thing that surprised me when I showed this video at an event a few years back was that my boss, the counselor of Semiahmoo First Nation, Ms. Joanne Charles, after seeing the photos in the video, she finally was able to understand what we Indo-Fijians endured under colonization in Fiji during the time of Girmit. She was finally able to relate to what I was talking about because these photos were not much different than the ones her own family had to endure while at residential schools under colonization here in Canada. So you can see here in these photos the similarities of the film exposures and the way that we were posed in front of buildings for record keeping. And even though you can't make out anybody's faces, you can still see the somber looks that they're giving in these photos. What this made me realize was that all colonized people, no matter where we are in the world, all share a common bond. And although this bond may have started with hardship and sacrifices, it's a bond that's been shared and forged by collective resiliency. I've been working as a cultural resource management here in Canada for over 25 years now. And I have this unique opportunity to work alongside the country's Indigenous people as they have tried and have successfully been able to create a space for themselves on this colonized land. With that being said, they're still a long ways away from being a sovereign people, but nonetheless, they keep fighting, and it's something that they will never stop doing. So my talk today is titled, The Surge of the Indo-Fijian Culture Within Canada. And I would like to share with you how we have begun to reclaim our identity and our culture through reclaiming May 14th, known in Canada as Girmitiya Day. For those of you who may not know, May 14th, 1879 was the day the first Indians landed in Fijian shores. Although with respect to Mr. Pravin Kumar's research, I would like to acknowledge that Indians did come to Fiji earlier than this date. Canada is very unique when it comes to the representation of the Girmitiya diaspora as compared to the rest of the world. In other Fijian diasporas, for example, in New Zealand, they represent a majority of the South Asian population. But here in Canada, on the other hand, we Indo-Fijians are dwarfed by a much larger South Asian Punjabi Sikh population. The Canadian census here claims that there's over 700,000 Sikhs living in Canada, while there is maybe only about 25,000 Indo-Fijians. And both of these populations live in the province of British Columbia. And now I have to add here that there's some major discrepancies in the tallies of Indo-Fijians living in Canada because the Fiji Airways, for example, the airline company claims that there's about 100,000 Indo-Fijians living in Canada. But the problem is that the last Canada census of population that had occurred failed to accurately capture the Indo-Fijian diaspora because of a lot of ambiguity in their questions. So what happens is some people relate to either being ethnically Indian, while others claim to be Pacific Islanders. Some people claim to speak Hindi, while others claim to speak Urdu. And there's really no way to accurately capture our numbers without there being any outward answers available in the census, like Indo-Fijian for ethnicity, for example, or Fiji Hindi for a language. So I'm really hoping that we can properly capture this in the next Canadian census so we can have a better idea of how many Indo-Fijians currently do live in Fiji, or at least how many people of Indo-Fijian heritage, I should say. So this leads back to an issue that we Indo-Fijians have here in Canada of not really having a sense of community or culture or identity. And being dwarfed by the larger Sikh population, many of our people end up simply assimilating into the larger group, but we always feel like we're outsiders. Sikhs come to Canada with a very rich history and culture behind them. They have a language, a religion, a dress code, a martial art, and even a caste system which binds them together. But we Indo-Fijians, unfortunately, don't have that. Being displaced from India, losing our historic cultural ties from there, we never really had the opportunity to establish ourselves in Fiji because of Girmit. And then we were thrust into Canada as refugees from the many coups d'etats that essentially kicked us out of our adopted homeland. So we're now in a place where we are in fear of losing our individuality and our culture as we get absorbed into the larger Canadian society in general and into the Indian Hindu society specifically, or the Arab Muslim one. So while today's topic of discussion is about monuments in the diaspora, I'd like to show you the Komagata Maru monument here in Vancouver, Canada. The Komagata Maru was a ship that sailed from India to Canada in 1914. And when it reached Canada, the Indian residents, although they were subjects of the British Empire, they were not allowed to set foot on Canadian soil. And they were subsequently sent back to India. And this monument, spearheaded by the Canadian Punjabi Sikhs, is a testament to that time. But unfortunately, there's nothing like this for Girmitiyas in Canada. And even I wonder if there can be something like this, since we really don't have a foundation for our culture here yet. But that is something that we here in the diaspora are working on. Although we may not have a physical monument for our people in history, I believe what we have is what I like to call a living monument. So 5 years ago on YouTube, I was watching the government of Fiji celebrate Girmit Day. And the then Prime Minister of Fiji was talking about celebrating Girmit and about Girmit celebrations. And at the end of this, I was left asking myself, what really is there to celebrate about Girmit? As pretty much everyone on this forum can attest to, there's really nothing about the deceit and the treachery that's worth celebrating. Some people then argue that we are celebrating Indian Arrival Day, since without us, since we Hindustani helped flourish the Fijian culture into this beautiful thing that it is today. But when put into perspective, in 1879, our ancestors were lied to and tricked into coming to Fiji upon arrival and were treated like criminals and marginalized by society. So, inspired by Canada's Indigenous people here, what we have done is we've set out to decolonize our culture. So instead of celebrating May 14th as Girmit Day, a day that's named by politicians after the institution that put our ancestors into shackles, we instead observe the day as Girmitiya Day, named after the people themselves, our resilient ancestors. In Canada, we've set out to reclaim the day, and we do this by telling our own stories using our own words and our own ideas. We reflect on our own heroes, and we describe ourselves on our own terms. You see, words are really powerful. For example, when you say to a child, what you say to a child or how you say it to them will resonate with them for a lifetime. So in that same manner, here in Canada, we're using words to take our power back. We are shifting from being victims of Girmit to being survivors. And we have survived by following the examples of resiliency and hard work that have been set forth by our Girmitiya ancestors. And we use May 14th, Girmitiya Day, as a day to not only honor our ancestors, but to also celebrate their achievements in creating our unique Indo-Fijian culture. And this is where our living monument really starts to take shape, where an abstract thought becomes a concrete idea. Although our Indo-Fijian culture in Canada may not be fully fleshed out concept like the Punjabi culture is, for example, through Girmitiya Day, what we are doing is we're building a foundation of our Indo-Fijian culture through our shared history and descendants of Girmitiya. Through our shared history as descendants of Girmitiyas. Although every Indo-Fijian is a descendant of Girmitiyas, this is the one thing that binds all of us together. And because of this, we've seen a surge of curiosity about our culture from our youth, and we have seen a pride beginning to well up within our people, as they not only want to learn more about our culture and history, but they want to do more about our culture and history as well. So I'm really proud to say that on May 11th of this year, just a few weeks ago even, thanks to a group of Indo-Fijian youth, the city of Surrey made an official proclamation to recognize May 14th as Girmitiya Day. And a few days later, the province of BC followed suit. So big things are really happening in Canada within the Indo-Fijian diaspora, and I feel like we Canadians are on the forefront of Indo-Fijian reconciliation. In closing, speaking of reconciliation and monuments, the government of Fiji has currently established a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which is dealing with reconciliation of Indo-Fijians for the many coups that kicked us out of the country. But what they're not doing is they're not dealing with the Girmit times. And I believe that we need to heal the scars of Girmit, not only for the Indian race, but for the indigenous population as well, and for the country of Fiji, so we are able to move forward. So with that being said, a monument that I would like to see is a statue in Fiji of the great Pandit Totaram Sanadia. He is our greatest Girmitiya. He is our first author. He is our first freedom fighter. And he's the first person to identify this concept of an Indo-Fijian. But of course, this is a topic of a very different topic for a different conversation. But in closing, thank you very much for your time.
Excellent, Rizwan. Thank you. I was just making a note to do a program. Dr. Mahaber, agree with me, please, to do a program on Pandit Totaram Sanadia, because I think this is important. If he was the very first to have coined the term Indo-Fijian.
Yes, he did write a book detailing Girmit times in Fiji. It's no different than, say, the slave narratives that were written in America. But interestingly enough, the book was banned in Fiji up until as late as 1990. So a lot of our youth in Fiji don't even know who this man is and how important he is to our culture and our history.
Do you have a copy of the book?
I do, actually. There is a PDF online of the book that you can read. I'll find it and I'll put it on the chat.
Wonderful. Thank you. Chand, go ahead, please.
Mr. Abbas, I'm very thankful of your idea of putting up a statue for Totaram Sanadia. And last September in India, we did go to his home, and Dilip Giri said we could put a statue there. So I don't know which one is going to come out first, because Fiji government, the multi-ethnic affairs, they have already put plans. I think they're in the planning stage right now. They're planning to have a museum at the Girmit Center. So your idea is awesome, and I hope you can connect with somebody with the multi-ethnic affairs so that we can have his statue there at the Girmit Center.
I agree completely, and I've been trying to try to get a hold of somebody there or to plant the idea. So it's something that I've been working on. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Chand, perhaps you need to speak to Mr. Rizwan Abbas about that association that you all are forming with Subhash.
Okay. On May 24th this year, Subhash and Praveen, and I think Praveen is in the audience, had discussed the topic that Kumar Mahabir had put forth to them, Indians in Fiji. So at the end, Subhash had floated the idea of an advocacy group where we could look into the fate of the Indo-Fijian farmers whose leases will begin expiring in 2030, which is 3.5 years from now. So on May 29th, I started off a chat group on Messenger with Subhash and Praveen, and then I included one of the lawyers from Retoka. You might know Vijay Singh. He was a parliamentarian also. So the four of us got together, and Vijay has been able to get a few more people, and we are working on it so that it can be registered at the end of this month. So perhaps I can give you an invitation to join our group, and we can follow up and see how things go.
Most definitely. Anywhere I can help out, I'd love to do so.
All right, so I will need your contact. Right at the moment, we are only on Messenger. So if you're on Facebook, then you can add me as a friend, Chandni Gupta, and I will talk to the core group, and we'll have you on board.
So we'll exchange the contact information. Wonderful, Chand. Thank you.
Thank you for introducing the topic and for getting those two on board.
You're quite welcome. Mr. Satyadat, go ahead, please.
Hi, Rizwan. Namaste. Kaise hai aap? Well,
Hi, Vicky.
really awesome presentation and looking from Fiji and our background and the proposal that you have said about the monument. That's great idea. Just other day, we were heading the meeting of GGI, the Grimit Global, and we have suggested that together with that, as with your ideas there, let's now bring create a wall of the Girmitiyas, a trail, and we have got the space at Girmit Center in Lautoka. So together with these monuments, we should have a trail of the Girmitiyas. And I think we have the capacity to build that over there as well. And I wouldn't know who was there before me, where you're forming a group to work on that. I would like to come on that group as well. So please do include me there. Thank you. Sorry, I have to now go. I was at work, so I'm starting now classes now. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you very much for
Bye.
being here. Have a good day. So Chand, I'm not too sure if you heard him, but Mr. Satyadat wants to be included in that advocacy group. Great. Mr. Pravin Kumar?
Good morning.
Morning.
Regarding Totaram Sanadia, so I have actually liaised with some people also that his residence in India is in Tetas. And so I have been liaising with few people that his house in Uttar Pradesh should actually be turned into a museum. It is very sad that his own relations or relatives who live besides his house do not even know what their great-grandfather did when he went to Fiji.
Right.
And I am also working on a project, not actually a project, but those who are from Fiji and Rizwan will probably know. In Navua, where Vancouver Sugar Mill operated, many babies died. Babies were born dead. There were many men and women Girmitiyas who died because of fever, hookworm, tetanus, etc. And it is basically from Navua town to Pacific Harbor is basically the killing fields of Fiji. So I am trying to organize what they call a 100-year event, not an event actually, it's a Hindu ritual of doing a Havan Yaj of the final goodbye to those people. So this week I'm actually going to do a presentation in a GoFund, and Rizwan knows and few people know that Dr. Danica Besley, who works at Regina University in, I don't know how to pronounce that place, Saskatchewan in Canada. She has
Saskatchewan.
written a book, and I want to coincide that with launching of the book in Navua. And as Rizwan knows and other people, Totaram Sanadia, there's also a person called Sadhu Vasis Muni, whose school, there are two schools named after him, but there are actually four schools because the one in Navua is a early childhood center, then a primary school, then a secondary school, and a hall. So the Sanatan Dharam branch of Navua has volunteered to assist me in getting the hall free and providing lunch and prasad, but I have to raise money for some people to go to Fiji. And I'm actually going to invite the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, if he can make himself available to come in May. So that's what I am doing at the present moment. And it's not only having a statue built, say, in the Girmit Center, but in Navua alone at that school, we're thinking of doing something for Totaram Sanadia, Sadhu Vasis Muni, who actually opened the second primary school in Fiji after a lot of protests from the colonizers, and Loya Manilal, who was deported from Fiji too, including Sadhu Vasis Muni. And Mrs. Manilal was the first woman, I think in very close towards 1920, that she led a protest march in Suva by walking with the woman from Navua. So, and then when you ask people even in Navajo, do they know these people of Vancouver Sugar Mill? They don't even know. So it's become quite an educative process. And recently, about close to 300 people from Navajo who live in Navajo and overseas, they contacted me. They said, Praveen, we never knew this history of ours. I said, mate, that is the killing fields from Navajo town to Pacific Harbor. I said, it's full of graves and you don't know the history? And then when they see the photo that Navajo was the most developed place in Fiji, they said, what happened after 1922? I said, that's when it went downwards and it never came up. And, there are no few people now who are in their 70s who have contacted me and they said, Praveen, when you come, we'll take you all around Navajo, the old railway lines where the old Navajo hotel was on the opposite side of Navajo River, and then the white men and the white women would sit down with their beer and rum and whiskey and wine and then overlook the Vancouver sugar mill, how the Girmitiyas were working day and night. So yeah, there's few things happening, but that's one of my project which I aim to do in May, because October will be, coming very soon. I can't organize that in October. If I can, I will, but it also depends on the availability of people like Yogi Adityanath. Danica Bursley has volunteered. If I give her 4 months notice, she'll come, either by paying her own fare or the university research. If not, then I'm trying to then organize to pay her airfares from Canada to fly to Fiji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kumar. Mr. Abbas, is there anything you'd like to reply to?
No, I think this is good. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. I just have one question for you. How many Indo-Fijians are you in touch with on a regular basis in Canada?
Well, we have a very close-knit network of Indo-Fijians here throughout Canada. With Girmitiya Day, for example, this year I traveled to Toronto as well, and we did a Girmitiya Day commemoration there with one of the societies there. And I've got family in Calgary and in most of the larger cities. So I have a very good network of people that I've met over the years of doing this research.
Thank you. Dr. Mahaber, you have a question.
Yes, thank you, Rizwan. Great work that you are doing in Canada. I note your Girmit Day relates specifically to Fiji, but I know for a fact that there are a lot of Girmitiya descended people from the diaspora living in Canada. I have a close friend living in Calgary, for instance. And are you trying to make contact with them?
Well, this is one of the great things about doing this work is being able to meet all the different diasporas. As a matter of fact, I met a lady from Trinidad and Tobago just recently. And in my own ignorance, I had thought that the term Girmit and Girmitiyas were an exclusive Fijian term. When I came to realize, meeting people from Guyana and from other places, that we share a lot more in common as descendants and children of Girmitiyas than we are led to believe. And it is something that I am trying to do, is to try to reach out to the different Girmitiya networks here in Canada and to at least come together as one people, as one group, as a front, or whatever it is that we would like to do as a political group.
Great.
Terrific. Kumu, you have your hand up again. Go ahead, please. Kumu,
Kalash.
you have a question?
Kalash.
Yeah, hi. Could not unmute. So how can we find out more about the project that about the prayer for the the deceased? This is the project that the person was talking about before with the CM of UP. Is that the Canadian Fijians, or is it?
I believe that was Mr. Kumar, Praveen Kumar was talking.
Yes, he's organizing that in Fiji.
Oh, in Fiji. So is there a website or something? How can we find out more?
We'll have to ask him. We will have to get that information from him.
We'll get that information across to you. We have Krishna Pariachi waiting. Krishna, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Abbas. I want to talk about the various Girmitiya populations that exist in Canada. Um, my origins are South African, and I know a lot of Trinidadians and Guyanese living in Canada, but I've often wondered about the unity of them, bringing them all together in one organization where, obviously it's stronger, obviously, and to achieve a sort of a national consensus, a national, as you've done in British Columbia, a day for Girmitiyas of Indo-Fijian origin, but a day of Girmitiyas of Indo-diasporic origin. And that would be very good. It would be unifying and also sharing of experiences.
Yes.
The different experiences across the board. That would be very, very powerful, I think. And to set that in motion, what has been done as far as you know?
Well, I definitely echo your sentiments in that regard. I think one of the problems that we have I can speak mainly for the Indo-Fijian diaspora, but it may be true for the Girmitiya diaspora in general, is that colonization still has a very deep hand in our culture. And we still have a lot of generational trauma that we're dealing with. For example, it was only my great-grandfather who was a Girmitiya. So the generational trauma is something that we need to first overcome before we can come together as people. I find that within our own community, we have a lot of people in what I would like to call as crabs in a bucket, trying to tear each other down instead of building each other up. And when compared to the Punjabi Sikh population here in British Columbia, for example, they do quite the opposite, where they're helping each other out to get better because they know that it's helping each other as a community and a culture. So this is where Girmitiya Day comes into effect, because we are focusing specifically on our ancestors as a foundation for our culture to build upon, because we all have that shared history. And to take that further, in the Girmitiya diaspora, we all have that shared history as well. So to speak on Mr. Ramsaran's earlier point, I think there's a date that we need that is something that's inclusive of all of us, whether that be the first date of the Indians leaving India to go for Girmit, or the last day that they left India for Girmit, is something that I think we can all rally around as a point for all of us, whether that be from anywhere in the world. So I do believe that with things like this Thought Leaders Forum is something that is a stepping stone for building on those kinds of ideas.
Yes, thank you so much. Is there any way of getting the ball rolling towards a unification, or should the separate groups really try to examine their trauma, examine why they are here, etc., and move along a path towards some sort of resolution, and then come together?
That's a good point. It's something that I'm conflicted with myself. I feel like as long as I keep working on my own trauma and my community's trauma, what I'm finding is that I'm collecting like-minded individuals from other diasporas as well. So I think it kind of works hand in hand, of doing your work and then attracting the people who are doing the same work, and then getting to a point where the network gets larger and you start building together. So yeah, I think it's a double-headed spear, and we kind of have to do both work at the same time.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rizwan Abbas. I really appreciate your presentation and your times being here with us. I hope you'll join us for other programs.
Definitely. My pleasure. Thank you for including me. I really appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, coming out of this program, we have a few other things to discuss. Baba raised the issue of the date following Mr. Ramsaran's disclosures. And now we have May 14th being used as Girmitiya in Canada. We certainly wouldn't want to create a day that now clashes with the Canadian Gurmit Day. So all of these things require further conversations. And we'll be very happy on this Thought Leaders Forum to do that on your behalf and with you. So I want to thank everyone for speaking today, for having done the research that you have, and for sharing with us. I'll turn you all over now to Ashiria to formally close. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Shalima, for being a fantastic moderator, as always. Thank you all for taking the time to attend and participate. As was said earlier, this is a public meeting being hosted by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center. Today, we have been pleased to be supported by the Indian Diaspora Council led by Ashok Ramsaran. Feel free to contact the ICC to publish your books. And remember, we are asking you kindly to give us your suggestions. If you give a donation, your name will be placed on our poster and all promotional materials. Please contact Dr. Mahabir for details. Our topic next Sunday: apartheid, educational repression, and Indo-South Africans. Thanks to our planning team led by Dr. Mahabir and Shalima Mohammed. Thanks to our IT consultants, Navin Mangal and Daryl Grantham. And thanks to Daryl again for designing the poster. Please visit, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to see all our past recordings. Bye, everyone.
Thank you all for joining and staying this long. Have a good day and all night, and